Hi, my name is Noah Basira, and this is my audience, Jair, Anthony, and Bobby. And this is my speech one. Late May of this year was the 98th anniversary of the Black Wall Street Massacre of Greenwood, Oklahoma. Due to Jim Crow laws of the early 1900s, African Americans were forced to start their own communities separately from white communities. However, these laws worked to benefit the African American residents of Greenwood by concentrating the wealth of their thriving economy. The area became one of the most affluent black communities in the United States, so much so that it became known as Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street was home to many lawyers, doctors, and wealthy black families that lived a hopeful life in a time when it was even more dangerous to be black in America. On May 31st, 1921, white mobs began destroying Black Wall Street and murdering innocent families in the street, leaving thousands homeless and hundreds dead. Black Wall Street is the deadliest race riot in the history of the United States, and yet the history of the event has been covered up and remained a mystery for the majority of the past 98 years. The African American community of Greenwood, originated by thriving in the face of oppression, was destroyed due to prejudice and has been blotted out of history because of hate. Today I will be informing you of the story of Greenwood, the events of the massacre, and as well as where Greenwood is today. According to the Washington Post, Greenwood had a population of over 10,000 black people. It was home to luxury shops, 21 restaurants, 30 grocery stores, a hospital, a savings and loan office, a post office, 3 hotels, jewelry and clothing stores, 2 movie theaters, a library, pool halls, bus and cab service, a nationally recognized school system, 6 private airplanes, and 2 black newspapers. The city was growing. The people lived with hope. Greenwood had the wealth, population, and potential to become an enormous modern city. On May 31st, 1921, white mobs seized on rumors that a black man had sexually assaulted a white girl in an elevator. The mob started murdering and destroying a city based on rumors alone. No evidence, nothing. According to USA Today, more than 300 black people were killed, more than 10,000 black people were left homeless, and 40 blocks were left smoldering. Survivors recounted black bodies being loaded on trains and dumped off bridges into the Arkansas River, and more frequently, tossed into mass graves of the city. Less than 100 years ago, in the United States of America, the most advanced country on earth, bodies of civilians were dumped and disgraced. There were reports that white pilots flew airplanes and firebombed the city from above. According to an Oklahoma Commission study, Greenwood was most likely the first city in the United States to be bombed by air by the military on its own civilians. Greenwood was the first and only city in the history of the United States where military aircraft have been used on civilian citizens. You might ask what about now? What happened after the massacre? How is Greenwood now? The events were covered up for decades, to the point where it was referred to as the Tulsa Race Riots, until recently when it adopted the more appropriate name, the Tulsa Race Massacre. The event was erased for history for many decades, and it was renamed to inaccurately reflect history. It was not until about 20 years ago that individuals placed an emphasis on understanding what happened in Greenwood. That same commission report concluded that the elevator incident was probably a minor and essentially innocent mistake. The young man, Dick Rowland, 19 years old, most likely tripped and stepped on the foot of the elevator operator, Sarah Page, who was 17 years old. She may have shouted in surprise, prompting him to run from the elevator. A clerk at the nearby store heard the shout and saw Rowland running away, and inferred that Rowland had tried to rape Page. She did not deny these rumors or anything. Unfortunately, this case is not alone. Blacks have always fallen victim to false accusations and continue today. As for Greenwood today, the town and mayor have shown initiative to find out what happened the days of the massacre and to find the bodies of those missing in those mass graves. By wanting to uncover the truth, the city shows that they have moved past blotting out their history, and they are trying to move forward and give justice to the families of those loved ones. The mayor stated, "We owe it to the community to know if there are mass graves in our city. We owe it to the victims of their family members, and we will do everything to find out what happened on that day in 1921. The black community of Greenwood, Oklahoma was once one of the major centers for black wealth and progress. By overcoming Jim Crow laws and forming a thriving economic center, the town became a hotspot for the African American community. However, prejudice and hatred led to one of the most brutal massacres in modern American history. Today, Greenwood is regrowing its black businesses and seeking out justice for the victims of that fatal day, 1921. It is our duty to hold ourselves accountable for our actions of the past to prevent them from reoccurring in the future. Thank you.